Hi, I'm Patrick Hehir and I'm a trustee with the People Hive, which is a charity based in Twickenham that works with people with learning disabilities. Volunteering is something I've wanted to do for quite a while. I grew up in a family where we were very involved in the community in general. My parents were always involved in various activities in our community, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. You know, I wanted to do something that would be involving me in my local community, that would be giving back to the community and to maybe some of the people that are more vulnerable in the community. And also, I wanted to do something that would maybe be a different from my day job and something that would be a rewarding and fulfilling experience for me personally. I had been in the gallery a couple of times and had bought a couple of things there, and on those visits I had chatted to some of the volunteers who worked in the gallery and learned a bit about the organisation, and it was an organisation that I thought was interesting, that was doing a lot of work that was really worthwhile and really beneficial to the clients that charity works with, and so it was one that was sort of on my radar. I particularly wanted to be a trustee for two reasons. One, because I've had a lot of experience working in the corporate world and in the business world, and I felt that I have, the kind of managerial experience and maybe more strategic and directional experience from doing that means I could add value as a trustee to a charity that was looking for trustees, and I felt that that's something that I could do well and I could bring something to the table, so to speak. The second thing is, having a full-time job, and it's a job where I travel a bit in my job too, so I'm not around all the time on a day-to-day basis. I spoke to the CEO of the charity and she explained to me a bit more detail about what the charity does, how it's structured, who the other trustees are and how it works. And we had a couple of conversations, just general introductory conversations on that topic, to just learn a bit more about the charity for me, but also for her to learn a bit more about me and my background. We then set up some Zoom calls with the other trustees, so where I got to meet virtually the other trustees as well. Part of the sort of onboarding process, it really involved having some phone calls or Zoom calls with individual trustees to learn a bit more about, for example, the legal structure of the charity, the financials of the charity. I also the charity supported me to attend the Richmond CVS Introduction to Trusteeship course, which I found very useful to learn more about just the charity sector and about what the responsibilities of being a trustee are. The first few meetings I attended were virtual meetings. We've had two in-person meetings in the last few months. Obviously, I think a lot of people learned during COVID that virtual meetings can be quite useful and work quite well, and can be convenient if people can't be in the same place. And so our plan going forward is to alternate meetings. Every other meeting will be either virtual or in person. Aside from the quarterly board meetings that I attend, in advance of the meetings there will be some paperwork, some reports, financial reports and so on to read in advance of the meeting. That might take up an hour or two leading up to a meeting. There are also some additional work that I'm doing with the charity on, for example, identifying sources of funding, that I tend to give maybe an hour or two a week to doing that. Some weeks I get round to it, other weeks I don't, and I play catch up a little bit. But it's something that I tend to just set aside a little bit of time, whether it's like one evening a week or Saturday morning or something. The board meetings occur about once every 3 months. In between that, the communication is usually by email. I may have a phone call or two with the CEO of the charity as well in between meetings. Definitely with the board that I'm working with, I definitely feel like everyone is very approachable, everyone is very helpful, and as the kind of newbie in the group, they've all been more than willing to take time to explain things to me or to answer questions that I have. I think I'm good at thinking about long-term, more strategic, forward-thinking kind of conversations, and so I think that I've been able to bring that to the board that I'm working with. The charity has been focused a bit recently on working out what the kind of strategic plan is for the next 3 to 5 years, and I think that's something that I've been able to contribute to, and I've been able to help the other board members maybe think through the strategy a little bit. I think I've enjoyed being involved in an organization that's really integrated within my local community and that's really supporting people within the community. I particularly wanted to get involved with a local community-based organization, and that's been exciting for me to be involved with a charity that is, you know, so local and so community-based, and that's really helping and supporting people in my own community, and that is, you know, something that feels good, that feels rewarding, and I'm really pleased to be doing that. It's also been a great opportunity to meet some great people that are, you know, the other people that are involved in the charity, and it's been a lovely way of meeting some other people in the area. Being a trustee is a little bit different in the sense that maybe your role is a little less hands-on, and it's a little more of an oversight kind of role. So, you know, you're not necessarily involved in the doing on a day-to-day basis, but instead more involved in kind of keeping up with what the charity is doing and what things are going on with the charity, and then you know, thinking about whether those things are in line with the goals of the charity and whether they're in line with the strategic vision that the charity has set out. Having just a different range of people involved, having a different range of perspectives and opinions is something that's really valuable. And so even though I might feel like my own personal experience isn't directly relevant to the topic that we're talking about right now, it's still helpful to the board as a whole to have those different perspectives and viewpoints. The Introduction to Trusteeship course that Richmond CVS holds was really helpful there, and both the course itself, but also it pointed me towards some other resources and some other sources of information to learn a bit more about that. But I think that's been probably the hardest thing, has just been getting up to speed with some of that and learning about some of that. Having said that, it's not that there's, you know, a huge number of responsibilities or liabilities or anything like that. It's just familiarizing yourself with what they are, and as someone who didn't work in the charity sector before, you know, I didn't even know where to start to find that information out. So having a resource like the Richmond CVS, for example, has been great to help point you in the right direction. And I think the main things are to be interested and inquisitive about the charity that you're getting involved with, to, you know, be interested to learn what the charity is doing and how it's doing it, to ask questions, to want to understand what the charity is doing. And I think also to care about it, right? To care about whether it's the kind of particular cause or group or purpose that the charity serves, you know, to feel passionate about that and to care about wanting to help and to wanting to be involved in that is important. And the other thing I would say is just, you know, not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to question the way things are done. I think that is one of the roles of the trustee, is to kind of question, why are we doing things a certain way? Is that necessarily the best way? And not being afraid to ask those questions or to challenge the way things are being done. If anyone is interested in becoming a trustee for the People Hive, you can visit our website, thepeoplehive.org, and you'll find a bit more information about the charity there, but also the contact details for the CEO and for the charity directly. You'll also find some details about who the existing trustees are. It's been rewarding, it's been great. I've worked with some really nice people, and it's been a fantastic experience so far.